Yeah, and just be friendly and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's good, because like if you make mutuals, you know, they'll even be interested in like checking out your stuff. So
well, we're not going to get anywhere without some sort of support. I think.
yeah, 100%.
Need to connect with an audience somehow.
Yeah.
So I will go to your channel.
So how does this work? If this stops like recording, when we end this, can we like repeat it?
Yeah, it'll store it on Twitch and it stores it on Restream too.
Oh, okay. So I should start. Okay. How do I save anyone? Huh?
Are you live?
I am live, but I can't even see if anyone's like joining or anything.
I'm just having a look now on Twitch.
Okay.
But I'll mute Twitch so it doesn't do that crazy feedback thing.
Okay.
There we are on Twitch.
Yeah, I can see us as well. That's so cool. Oh, there's a bit of an echo.
That's probably because you've got the volume on Twitch as well.
Okay. I just had to mute it. Okay.
Have you enabled your subscriptions and all the rest of it?
I believe so. I think I did. Is there any way for me to check that on this page? I don't think so.
Actual stream, they normally display them on the screen.
We've got one viewer from Twitch.
That could be me.
Oh. I was like, oh my god, first viewer. I don't know if I should like start talking about it, but there's no one here.
Well, it's up to you. I was watching a guy the other night who was doing the hour-long Dungeons and Dragons show. He was talking to nobody at all when I turned up.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cute though.
It was like a radio broadcast or something. It was just like.
Did anyone else end up joining it?
A few.
A few?
Yeah.
It might be us. That might be what's going to happen with us. But oh wait, I swear I connected TikTok. Oh no, you said you couldn't find it with TikTok, could you?
No, not the artsy whatever it is thing. No.
I'm gonna try to find that because TikTok might be pretty helpful. It's just the people on live streams on TikToks, they're harsh. So what is this other what is it you're going to? I forgot the word. Convention, right?
Yeah, I'm going to the 10th anniversary Gamma convention next weekend.
Yeah, that's cool. That's exciting.
And then in another 20 days, there's the medieval fair, Renaissance fair going there.
Oh wait, I actually think I saw that being advertised when I was going to the shops to look for like costumes for our videos. I saw like this medieval like poster thing being advertised, and I was I didn't even know we did that. So I don't know if it was for Adelaide, but I'm guessing so because it's in Adelaide. I feel like it'd be pretty fun.
It is actually a lot of fun, and they do things like they do the fake sword fights and jousting, but there's also like medieval food and dancing.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
That'd be sick. Because in this costume store I went to, they had so many medieval costumes.
Well,
I didn't know it was like a big
It's huge.
thing.
Games of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of people who want to live in an alternative kind of world.
I can see why though. It'd be fun. I actually need to finish the Lord of the Rings movies. I haven't finished them.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
Yeah.
But
The books even more than the films. To be honest.
but I do like elves, and I like everything elves. Like even when I was young, I was obsessed with like, I don't know if you'd know what them because they were more so girly, but there was these like old fashioned fairy books, and they'd pretty much just put a bunch of rubbish in there to make it seem like fairies were real. I'd collect them, and I thought it was real.
But there's nothing to say that fairies aren't real. Maybe just not exactly as described.
Well, I've read this book. I have also read this book that was like genuinely written. Now that I've just remembered it, I want to go find it again. But it had some like solid proof that fairies could be real, which would be sick. That'd be awesome. But I wouldn't blame them for trying to hide out from humans, you know?
Well, what I used to read a lot of was John Keel. He was a paranormal investigator. So he investigated
Oh,
Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, UFOs.
yeah.
Did a lot on the Mothman. And his suggestion was actually another man's suggestion, and he agreed with it, was that um, some people see these things and some people don't.
Right.
But there are people, and in more scientific studies, they found that one incident, some people see nothing. Some people just see a kind of smear of light with no details.
Right.
Some people just have a kind of funny feeling. And some people see something, like they see a pterodactyl or a giant sort of monster or even Bigfoot. So some people see the Bigfoot. Some people feel cold. Some people feel scared. Some people see a blur. But it's the same incident. Like, so they study what the different reactions of multiple witnesses are. And the suggestion is that we take it for granted that what we see is there because what we see is light reflected off objects, right?
Mm.
If something only reflects in the infrared or ultraviolet, it's invisible to us. Even if it's physical,
Right.
it's invisible to us. So
Well,
something might reflect light just on the edge of what most people can see, just on the edge, which means some people can't see it. Some people see it as a blur. Some people
oh,
see
stop. That's so weird.
it. So
Well, I've definitely had like multiple experience because I'm not like, I wouldn't say I'm religious, but I've definitely had experiences happen to me, like paranormal experiences that I can't make sense of. And so there's a part of me that's like, it's not fair for me to say I'm not religious, but I believe in these things. But I don't know. It's just, I've just had things happen to me where it's like, I don't know if I can explain that any other way. Um, like, I have a clear memory of when I was in year 5, and which was a long time ago, but I remember the exact night. Like, it was a Saturday night. It was around 11 or 12 at night. And my sister and brother and I, we were all in the living room. And like I said, I'm not tech savvy. I never have been. But they were the ones setting up the PlayStation so we could watch a movie on it. Anyways, I was standing in the corner of the lounge room, and I don't know if it was him, but there was a picture of my deceased uncle there. I was standing in the corner watching them do their thing, set up the TV or whatever, and out of nowhere, I feel this tap on my shoulder and just a voice in my ear. Like it was a male's voice, and he just goes, Anika. And I freaked out. I jumped on the coffee table and I started crying. Yeah, I started crying. And then my mum came out and everything. They were all trying to calm me down because I was like hysterical because there was no way I could make sense of it.
yeah,
And I was like, my brother, he had like the squeakiest voice. It couldn't have been him, but I was even blaming him. I was like, "Was that you? Was that you?" He was like, "What?" Yeah, I mean, I explained it to them, and you know what my sister says? She turns to me and she goes, "Don't worry, Anika. I hear Grandma all the time.
Oh my
Grandma
God.
also deceased." I was like, "How is that meant to make me feel any better? Like this is just unlocked something so new for me. I didn't know I'd have to deal with this." But yeah, that's just one of the crazy stories.
I know with fairies, I know my Irish relatives just take it for granted they're real, and they describe them as little pinpoints of light or little
Yeah.
smokers that look like smoke that move where there's no current of air, and you actually see them flying around sometimes. And I have
And
seen
like what people mistake them for, like the dust particles.
that they're a bit bigger than that, but not much, and
Okay.
they are supposedly the actual fairies.
Oh.
Fairies. So that would be the typical way normal people would see them, who don't have any sensitivity or they don't have any gift
Right.
or what Irish and Scottish people call the sight. They don't have the
Hmm.
sight. If you have the sight, then um, you see the full blown thing, whatever it is.
This book, the book that I was like talking about, that actually might have been by a Scotsman, I think. But
Wouldn't surprise me at all.
yeah, no, because it was really like this one was really realistic. I'll actually have to try find it afterwards. But
Well, there was a book in the 17th century about just what was called the secret commonwealth, and the
okay.
secret commonwealth is the the civilization of the fairies of the elves,
Yeah.
like all of them, from the smallest to the greatest.
So, what do you think of it? Do you like believe in it?
I wouldn't say believe in it because,
You're open to the possibility.
well, I just think belief is the wrong word because belief implies that you have to accept it without proof. I think there is proof of it, so I accept that
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah.
something's real.
No, I get that. That's how I feel about things as well. Yeah.
And I agree with John Keel when he said that they're a natural condition of the planet, that they've always been.
Hmm.
They feed on emotion or thought or imagination.
Yeah. Apparently, like I do remember from this book, like it was saying that fairies, they love playing tricks on humans.
Yeah,
Like I think it was that they'd be the reason why a lot of things go missing and stuff,
yep.
which would be it would make so much sense because I don't know, maybe it's just my ADHD, but I'll put something somewhere and then I'll turn around for a second and then I'll turn back. It's just gone. Somewhere across the room or something.
Well, the other
But
thing you see is with dogs.
be
Sometimes a dog.
it would make oh what just happened there? Sorry, I think am I like delaying? I don't know, maybe it's just my ADHD, but I'll put something some oh
I think it's just a slight lag.
okay.
But I was going to say,
Um
dogs sometimes see them even when they're invisible to us because you'll see the dog look at midair and sort of go, "Ooh," because it's
you know
seeing
what?
you can't see.
That's so crazy that you say that because I have a video on my phone of our puppy. Like he's never reacted to TV before. One night, um, I was just laying on the bed, like it was just me and him, like me and the puppy, and out of nowhere he goes into the corner of the room near the TV, and at first I was like, is he barking at the TV? But he's never done that before, and it looked like he was just barking at whatever was next to the TV, but
Yeah,
there was nothing there, and he started like growling at it.
that's the thing.
I I couldn't make sense of it. He kept going back to it, and I was like, "What are you growling at? You've never done this before." There was no bugs or anything. It's just
I did it.
spooky. So weird.
I put all that in, not in an epic fantasy book, but in the previous series, Phase of the
Oh,
Wikipedia. I did an adventure book called Sky Pirates of Suburbia, and that has all the ultra terrestrial stuff in it, like UFOs, fear monsters,
ah,
Mothman, Men in Black, fairies, elves, because the theory of that book is similar to John Keel, that they're actually from what's called the dreamland, and that they take on a form from what we are afraid of or think of, so that they change into that shape, and then they feed on our
Wow.
emotions, become temporarily physical, but then they go
Wow.
back to the dreamlands and just fade back out.
So like when you say they become like temporarily physical, do you mean they like blend in with other humans or?
They become physical, so if they look like another human, they look like another human. If they look like a great
Oh,
ape, a Bigfoot, then they're a Bigfoot. And they can kill a dog or break a branch or shake a car. But then there's been, I think, 4 incidents where they follow the feet, the great big footprints, and the footprints have got lighter and lighter. In other words, the thing's weighing less and less.
oh,
The footprints just disappear. Now, no physical animal can do that.
that's creepy.
Like the
That's
physical ape men, the real physical ape men, you see things like their heavy footprints because they weigh 3/4 of a ton. And then there's one footprint and there's scratches on a tree because they've lifted themselves up into a tree, the same way that the unknown big cats and the water tiger in South America, which is a panther that swims in the water and spends most of its life in the water. They're,
okay.
they're unknown but physical animals, so they leave physical traces which are logical, whereas the paranormal things, the thought forms, are temporarily real, like it could be a helicopter, it could be a UFO, it could be an alien, it could be a giant snake, it could be a Bigfoot, it could be Loch Ness Monster, it could be anything. They take on a form, but then they disappear again, they dissolve. As Shakespeare says, they dissolve into thin air because they're only, see, what we think of as being physical is a side effect of electromagnetic field compression. So they must exist on a frequency where they're like radio waves, only even more tenuous than that. And then the waves compress, compress, compress. What makes us feel physical is field interaction. So these things compress their fields until they're like our fields, and so they feel physical. Although in the process, like when people describe ghosts and a lot of these paranormal things, they describe that the atmosphere gets extremely cold, like they're freezing. That's because
Mm.
massive intake of energy required for these things to compress their fields.
You know, I've never actually. I mean, I've heard about how they can become like blend in as humans or whatever. But I never really thought about that. Like all these paranormal experiences.
People like John Keel, there were a lot of John Keel, Gordon Crichton, there were really serious people, and they started off when UFOs were first observed in the modern world in 1947. They were there at the beginning. And then by the 1960s, they'd all reached the same sort of conclusion, which is that there's something about UFOs and Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster and other lake monsters in some cases, some big cats and other unknown animals. They act more like ghosts, but they don't act like a physical creature. Like
Yeah.
when there's a physical creature that's unknown, sooner or later it gets photographed or it gets caught.
Mhm.
In the big black panther in Sussex in England, they
Right.
found the skull of one and they got a picture of one, and that's why it's out of the news now. It's because it's real. They spent so long trying to tell everybody it was fake, and then
Mm.
pictures were wrong, and now it's all forget it.
Was it
Whereas
proven that the Loch Ness monster picture was fake? I
the
think.
so-called surgeon picture's fake, but there have been real pictures of it. But the other thing is that the Loch Ness monster is actually not the best example of a lake monster, because there are lakes like in southern Canada
Yeah.
where there's constant video footage and pictures of something. And what it is actually like a great big long kind of eel thing,
Yeah.
or a giant sturgeon, or a long-necked seal. So there's this long-necked seal species which died out, and it died out a lot more recently than the dinosaurs. Now, a seal can live in cold conditions. So-called dinosaurs can't. So it would be more logical for it to be a seal, a big
Right.
seal, than it would for it to be a so-called dinosaur.
Yeah, 100%. Huh.
You see what I mean?
Yeah. You know, I don't know if you get this, but something that also like freaks me out. I would say I have like really good intuition. For some reason, my dreams, especially, I dream about stuff before they happen, or like I get feelings about things before they happen. Like
Yeah,
last night before the crash, I actually did have a bad feeling, like that
yeah,
something was going to go wrong,
yeah.
and then it did.
It did,
But that,
unfortunately.
but yeah, I have like a lot of experiences like that. Do you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like I've dreamt about meeting people before they've entered my life and stuff.
The same, the same.
I've also like before like of people passing before they did.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
too. That's so weird.
sometimes it's your subconscious mind processing things quicker than your conscious mind. So it's not so
Hmm.
much psychic. It's just part of your brain
Yeah,
is working without you having to tell it to.
yeah, and things you're already anxious about as well.
Yeah, but sometimes that can't possibly
But
be true. Sometimes it genuinely is a kind of
doesn't make
a feeling,
sense. Yeah.
a feeling of unease,
Mhm.
a feeling of
There's so
unease.
many wonders of the world.
Well, I think it's more affect and focus. Like people, I mean, I've found this for many decades. Even near where I live, there's a giant, well, I think it's probably dead now, but there was a giant catfish that lived in a pond near where I live. And
Right.
by giant, I mean this sucker was bigger than a Volkswagen Beetle. It was enormous. And it had um, like some carp do, some giant carp do. It had stuff growing on its back, like water weeds.
Really?
Yeah. So I used to walk to the town centre
Yeah.
really, really early in the morning. So it's just me, the birds, and this mist which gathers in Canberra. And it
So
gathered up.
where did you grow up? If you don't mind me asking.
Oh, Adelaide, but this is in
Oh,
Canberra.
okay. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm walking past this pond,
Yeah.
and in the middle of the pond there's just this sound of water sluicing, like water pouring off something, and it is the back of a catfish.
That's weird.
And the catfish is at least 4 meters long, probably longer, and it was just there. And then
And
one
what?
afternoon, I was catching little fish, putting them in
Yeah.
aquariums. So, you know, weeks and weeks later, there was this couple who were fishing. There was just a guy and a girl sitting there fishing, and I was walking past them with the dog and the net and the bucket to catch the little fish and the tadpoles and stuff. And the dog was sort of playing up to get pats off them. And then I looked out at the pond, at the middle of the pond, and this thing rose up again. And I pointed it out to them, and I said, "Look at that! See that? That's a giant catfish. That's the back of the catfish." And they were just sort of stunned, and they watched it. And then while we were watching it, it literally just, not in like a big spectacular way, it just sort of went under the water.
That's so weird.
And they just watched it, stunned. And I said, "That's the back of the giant catfish." And they said, "That's just a lump of like vegetation. The gases have built up in it, it made it rise and it made it sink again." And I
So
said,
you were
"No,
the only one that who really like constantly saw it then?
other than the authorities, because they drained that pond and they drained the lake next to it and they poured all this concrete and they, dug everything out. And
Oh,
one morning, two of the construction workers were watching this
yeah.
thing in the mud that was left, just slowly moving itself towards the reservoir with great big lashes of its tail, and then it would stop moving again and just sort of go,
Ew.
just keep moving again. And it
Oh,
was
that's
definitely a catfish because it had the barbels on
yeah.
the little tentacles on the front. And they were just watching it, like, swearing and like, "Oh no, no, even way. Oh, no." So,
Oh my god.
and we have good cats here because the thing in Canberra is we've got giant stormwater drains.
Yeah.
They're enormous. You can stand up in them
Okay.
and you can walk between the suburbs in them. You can cross
Right.
towns in Canberra in the tunnels. Now,
Through the tunnel.
through the tunnels. And
Okay.
when you go into them, the stickers from the Cave Clan in the 1980s and witch marks from witchcraft practitioners and all.
Really?
Really. And
That's kind of cool.
every once in a while there's a side tunnel where the most recent sticker is from the 1980s. Like no one's been
That's
there.
pretty cool.
No one's been there for nearly 50 years. But one day we were in there, I took a group in there, and we found some soft soil. And
Yeah.
soft soil was a huge freaking print. Like a panther-sized cat had just walked and just happened to put its paw down in that soft mud and left this giant freaking print.
What?
And then it just kept on walking through the tunnels all the way to the Brinderbellas. And then we went back 2 days later because they wanted to film, so we filmed in there. And while we were filming in there, from way the hell off in the direction of the hills where the tunnels ended, we actually heard the.
Ew, that's so creepy.
Like something was just like giving you a warning growl.
That would have creeped me out.
So we're making lots of noise about like, oh, let's do this, let's film here, let's do that.
Yeah.
We came out, and there was a helicopter circling overhead. And then we went back to where I was staying, because that's where we were staging the expedition from. The next day, at dawn, bright pink netting, workers, it's all fenced off, flashing lights.
Oh, what?
We're repairing the tunnels. Keep off.
But you think it was because they found it, like they knew about it? Ah.
I do.
That's weird.
So you see, a lot of this stuff people just don't notice.
Yeah.
It's there, but a lot of people are not very observant. I mean, like the Sufis I know from Indonesia say that, like in their culture and their religious beliefs, they believe in genies, the jinn.
Right.
And
they actually believe in genies?
Well, it's not so much. It's not even just that they believe in them. They actually make deals with them, make sacrifices to them.
Oh, okay.
But they also say that most non-Sufi don't realise that a certain percentage of what people see or even interact with isn't actually there. That it belongs to the unseen world of the jinn, not to the physical world of humans.
Did they give any like examples?
They're talking about like there's a few things like this. I mean, there's the Final 13 is that's a really spooky. That's a Halloween story because it's set at Halloween, but it's a very spooky true story. But I'll tell you that next. But they give an example of things like in a crowd of people, like in a marketplace where they live, like in Lombok or Bali or whatever. There'll be every day there'll be people in a marketplace. Once there are enough mortal people, enough living with mortal people, some spirit people will also come. There'll be just like a little old lady or a homeless child or a dog, and they're not there to do anything particular or evil. They're just there to feed off the sympathy, to feed off the warmth of people being around because they're lonely. So they just go around all day, and then as people leave, they fade out again.
I've heard of, what are they called? I think they start. Wait, what did you say they were called?
They call them, they're lonely ghosts, but there's also hungry ghosts.
I've heard of something, I think it starts with J or, I don't know, but like.
The jinn.
Yeah, that, I've heard of that.
Jinn is the Arabic for genie.
Oh, for genie?
Yeah, so jinn means genies, plural.
Oh.
Is that right, or is it the other way around? No, yeah, that's right. So jinn means genies, plural. Genie is an individual jinn.
I thought they make it sound like it's something to be really like scared of.
Well, what they teach is that the jinn are like humans. They're good, bad. Some have converted to Islam. Some are still like
Yeah.
servants of evil. But all of them are tricky. They live longer than us, and they're
Yeah.
beings of smokeless fire. They're actually made of sort of glowing energy inside. They're not physical, but they can seem physical, and they can even have children with humans and create half humans, and so on and so forth. There's a whole
Wait, but then what would happen with the children?
the children are born with pointed ears and wild, much more mischievous than a normal child, and they have to be converted very early on to Islam because they're Islamic. So they have to be sort of like the Christian medieval belief in changelings, where the elves would steal a child and replace it with an elf child. The only way you can cure its elven nature is to baptize it, to make it.
That's in the Bible, or like,
What do you mean?
wait, is that like an actual thing in Christianity? Was that?
It's a folk belief. It's nothing. It's not in the Bible. It's what people in medieval Europe, especially Britain, believe.
Oh wow. See, because I've been like to Christian schools my whole life.
Okay.
But I've never heard of anything like that. But it's also because they didn't even like having Harry Potter in the library. So
Yeah, no.
that's why I haven't heard it.
They wouldn't have anything like that. But no, the thing I was going to tell you though is the Final 13. I wrote I wrote a novel in 2000, and I included this as the novel had chapter dividers, which were sort of one-page quotes or something, like something from our world, something.
Yeah.
And one of them is the Final 13. So a sociologist group at a university in America did a 4-year study of movement patterns on Halloween of children and their parents to see what a real life Halloween actually was like in America and on the East Coast, the West Coast, and in the central part of North America, some of the sort of flyover states. And so they studied, how many children actually went where and how far away they went and what sort of candy they got, how many parents per children there were. And they tabulated all the results, and one of the charts was just going to be a simple table summarizing all the people. And they found when they did it in a normal computerized way, they kept being out by 13. So they'd add up all the numbers, which were observed by like students with clipboards from the university, and because you're practicing your survey, part of your practical assessment, you're thinking up a ladder there, and so you're counting the number of people and what candy and all this sort of nonsense. So
like I mean, we definitely did surveys like that in school.
Exactly.
Too, but
so they do it, and they keep on. No, we're out by 13. We're out by 13. We're out by 13. We're out by 13. So then they had to go back to the individual clipboards, and then they went back to the tabulation, and then they went back to the census information, because what they did was correlate that of 452 people in Duluth, there were 300 adults and 152 children, and of the 152 children, all are accounted for, but only 108, for example, went trick-or-treating. But they accounted for all of the others. So what happened was, between 9 p.m. and midnight, when a lot of children have already gone home, there are stragglers around, quite often older children leading younger children rather than adults. And across America, there were 13 costumed children unaccounted for in each area.
What?
As a group of 13. Completely disguised, so you couldn't see who they were. And all of them quite young, like little children. And they would be just quietly moving as a group of 13, following a normal group. So that the survey people identified this because they recounted. What they would do is the normal crosshatch, so 1, 2, 3, 4, crosshatch, 1, 2, 3, 4, crosshatch, 1, 2, 3, 4, crosshatch. They had one person doing that, and they had one person doing doing the clipboard survey. Those two numbers are where the difference came from, because the cross-hatching people were cross-hatching an extra 13. So the clipboard people were working from the census data, so their numbers always internally agreed. The person doing the raw data, there were always 13 too many children. They were always silent. They would go up to doors, but they would look at doors, they wouldn't knock on them.
Really?
And they would only take candy that was unattended.
What? And this is like true?
It's absolutely true. The final 13 or the extra 13. Who are the extra 13?
And there were no parents with them?
No parents. And they were basically,
What?
they weren't in contemporary costumes, they were normally in hoods. So they were like little hooded.
That's so creepy.
Because that's the one.
What? So what?
They wouldn't attract any attention at all. Just dark hooded figures following along behind them.
So do you think they were like? I lost my ear.
Oh.
Do you think that they were like ghosts then, or?
I've got no idea. I mean, I just I included it in that book of mine, Nightside, because it's horrible.
Okay.
It's horrible, and so I was adding real life, seriously.
Maybe they were aliens.
Well, I mean, it depends what you mean by alien, really. I mean, I don't think space aliens would do that.
No.
Well, why would they?
Wait, there are other aliens? Do you mean? Oh, I feel like there has to be more in the ocean. Like we've barely discovered like anything from that. Like we haven't searched all of it, you know?
Definitely.
I feel like there's got to be a lot in there. So I wouldn't be surprised if mermaids were real.
Oh, and sea devils, for that matter.
Sea devils?
You know, sort of like aquatic reptilian humanoids.
What?
You know, like sort of scaly, semi-humanoid, sort of like the creature from the Black Lagoon, but with a kind of more like a fish sort of head or something.
So, like, is that like your other way of saying mermaid?
No, because a mermaid's very different from that. I think a lot of mermaid sightings are ultra-terrestrial, so like Bigfoot and UFO, they're temporarily real. And I think there are weak points I think there are weak points in our reality where things with a defined form, like some mermaids and Bigfoot, can come through and go back.
Yeah.
But I also think there are a lot of unexplained physical things, which are actual physical creatures.
There's been quite a few videos out lately of like siren sightings.
Yeah. I mean, for example, camouflage and mimicry. Every type of ant has a spider which can perfectly imitate it, enter an ant nest and eat ants.
Yeah.
So, because human mimic, a predator of humans, who can imitate us until it's too late, until it's close enough to feed, to attack and feed. For example,
Yeah.
so I'm absolutely satisfied on the evidence there's at least one species like that. And I also think that some of the prehistoric types of humanoid didn't just interbreed with us and die out. I think some of them never interbred with us to any great extent and never died out and were completely predatory. I think they cannibalised other humans preferentially, and I think they still do, and I think that's the origin of vampires and werewolves. I think that there are small populations of extremely dangerous things that don't want to be discovered because they're ambush predators.
Wait, so you think vampires are real?
It's like the aliens thing you just said. I accept the evidence that there is a reality behind the stories, but I don't accept the stories at face value.
Yeah, no, okay, that makes sense. I mean, there are people who are like, there are people who go out of their ways to be vampires, or they say they're vampires. If you've heard of any of that stuff,
but I mean, more, it's like the different sorts of lion. There's a thing called a Cape lion, and the American lion. And the American
Yeah.
lion is actually one of the largest species of lion.
Yeah, so you mean like not the most like. Oh, sorry. I think I might be lagging, but you mean the less stereotypical like version? I'm guessing.
Well, I mean, a vampire, um, ignoring the sort of the fantasy element like we have in the game.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
vampire is a human who feeds on other humans and drinks their blood.
Mhm.
Now, there are maniacs who do that because they're mentally ill or sexually perverted. But there could easily be, as an adaptation, a blood drinking humanoid for the same way there's a blood drinking bat. And a blood
Hmm.
drinking fish you can
Right.
adapt to a particular diet. You see?
Yeah. No, that does make sense because I mean you're right. Like they're blood drinking bats. So sorry, I've gotten pretty off like um task with this live.
I don't think so. I mean, um, epic fantasy is a very deliberately fantastical game based on things like Dungeons and Dragons, Lord of the Rings, and all the rest of
Yeah.
it. But a lot of the stuff I've written in the past, like the single most popular setting for Phaser-Wikipedia is called
Mm-hmm.
Crom, right? And Crom is set in 150,000 BC. Our world, 150,000 BC.
Okay.
And the world of Crom is, to put it mildly, not remotely like our modern world.
Okay.
Like, not remotely. And people love it because they've never thought before about 150,000 years ago. Because, people sort of, they have this feeling like 10,000 years ago, Atlantis really was real. Like
Right.
the ice had begun to melt and
Yeah.
it stabilized, and then there was another period of massive rapid flooding, and we lost at least 40 separate civilizations. See? So I think people have a hard enough time imagining the Younger Dryas impact and the floods and the loss of Atlantis and Mu and how did they really build the pyramids, and are the pyramids really 35,000 years old? And then Crom is set 115,000 years earlier than the earliest possible fringe theory date of the pyramids, which is 35,000 BC. The reason is there's pyramids, including the so-called Great Pyramid in Egypt.
Wait, so is this a novel or is this an RPG?
It's an RPG called Crom.
Okay. Huh. I'll have to look into that one too because I think this one's really good already as it is. So
Well, epic fantasy doesn't pick for you, right? So it's just the rules, and
yeah.
you can have like knights and princesses, or like
Yeah.
people run it with their families. So obviously the little kids want to be princesses and knights, and or like one guy's running it for his family and his two sons. One of them's a knight, the other one's a dragon.
Yeah.
He wants to play a dragon, so you've got a knight and his arch enemy, the dragon, is the two brothers, and then the little sister is playing a princess. So you've got a knight, a princess, and a dragon, and that's the group.
It's
But
so good. The dragons are so cool. My favorite one. Which one was that? The the alcoholic breath. That's my favorite one.
So so that's the family game. But you can play a super serious game like Lord of the Rings, or this thing I'm writing at the moment, Broadsands,
which is like really good because then it's like it makes it available for a wide range of an audience, you know.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd get a bit silly with it, but it's good that you can also.
In what way would you get silly?
I don't know. I feel like there's just so much to do. I wouldn't even know where to start, but I don't know. I feel like I'd struggle to take it seriously because I don't know, bit of a goofy goomba, but
I mean,
I really want to play it with Oh, I'm sorry, I keep cutting you off. I think I'm like lagging, but I really want to play it with Ellie soon.
Oh, that'd be a
I want to make Ellie play it with me.
She's got to stay on deck long enough. That's the problem.
She's got to what?
Stay on deck long enough. Say hello, Mia. Hello, Mia.
Oh, you got a cat.
I,
Pretty
my
cute.
co-pilot
Your
just
co-pilot.
just sits there next to me like a sphinx, looking forward.
Oh, we
Yeah,
have.
so, I mean, people can be silly when they play a game. The main thing, I mean, he actually says this in the rules. Don't let people be so silly that they spoil the story. But
No. I just mean like have fun with it.
well, that's the whole idea, though, to have fun.
Yeah.
But for example, things like the undead, like that thing you did yesterday, they're no joke. Like they'll kill a lot of characters in the game, and if you don't take them seriously as an enemy, you're all going to die. So,
Yeah.
well, if you look at their statistics are so powerful compared to normal characters that
Yeah.
even somebody like a knight who's normally a killing machine, like a living tank, who can just smash so many enemies at once, all it takes is for a vampire or a wraith to actually touch
And
them.
they're like,
They start losing their life energy straight away.
hmm.
And that's when you get very weak characters like clerics, because normally they're
Yeah.
quite weak. But because they can turn undead with their faith, suddenly it wouldn't be a bad idea to play a cleric with it.
I was asking Ellie actually if you wanted us to make a video on the clerics.
I think so. Why not?
Yeah. Okay.
I guess
But no,
those
doing the vampire was really the vampires were like, well, not. That, I don't know. It was just like really fun.
I hadn't seen it yet, of course, but Ellie was saying that you ended up in bed. She had you beaten in bed or something.
Yeah,
Right?
she did. So we had like it does look really like medieval, I guess, kind of.
Right.
Um,
Do you have a copy of it, or did she have the only copy?
I don't have a copy of it,
You better
but
try
it's got. There's like me like messing about in the room, and then there's like candles like lit around the room, and
Nice.
I'm like going through this book or whatever, and then I end up passing out, and then Rachel, who's playing the vampire, she comes in and she like sneak attacks me. Yeah, I'm going but she said she discussed with you if you'd be happy with you're okay with the voiceovers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Because I thought that looked good together, just like discussing the whole
That's what
idea
I
of
did.
it.
That's what I did. The bat thing for the bats
Okay, good.
flying around. That's what that was for.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I thought that was the way to.
We've lost it. Looks like the fairy's got it after all.